The Nigerian Air Force reports successful airstrikes on terrorist hideouts near Lake Chad, resulting in the elimination of several terrorists. Death toll from stampede during arms distribution in Benue State climbs to 7. United Nations Security Council passes resolution demanding Gaza ceasefire. Hello there. Good evening and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We begin in Benue State, where the General Officer commanding the 1st Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Mairenso Saraso, says both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches were adopted by the Nigerian military in the rescue of the 137 Kaduna abducted children in Zamfara State. General Saraso, who disclosed this while handing over the rescued school children to the Kaduna State Governor Ubasani at the Government House on Monday, says only the staff member of the school abducted by the bandits, Abubakar Isa, died while in captivity. The general also explains that the 131 students were physically brought to the Government House on Monday because 6 were hospitalized at military facility in Kaduna State. He gave the breakdown of the figure of the rescued children to include 76 females and 61 males, totaling 137.
The abducted Kuriga school children have, or were in the early hours of yesterday, Sunday, 24th March 2024, safely rescued after spending about 16 days in captivity. The students were initially received and administered first aid at the Nigerian Army Troops Forward Operating Base at Tansadao Forest in Zamfara State, close to where they were rescued, before being served refreshment, and from where they were subsequently conveyed under our escort to Kaduna, arriving yesterday afternoon.
When this incident happened, some of us have been very, very encouraged with the effort of the security agencies, because we are working with them closely, and they've been sharing a lot of intelligence with us, and we're also supporting them with information. That is why we're here today with our children. But I want to also caution our insecurity merchants and complete merchants in Nigeria to be cautious with utterances.
Now, several terrorists of the Islamic State in West Africa province and Boko Haram sects were on Sunday killed when the Nigerian Air Force bombed their hideouts in the Tombons near Lake Chad. Now, the Nigerian Air Force airstrikes under Operation Hadinke decimated the insurgents, according to a statement released on Monday by the Nigerian Air Force spokesperson Gapwet Edward. The Nigerian Air Force said the operation, conducted at a location northwest of Arena Woje in the Tumbums, became necessary after intelligence revealed the presence of terrorist hideouts at the location. Gapwet also says intelligence had also confirmed an activation of terrorist activities around clusters of structures concealed under trees near the location. He added that after these strikes, a post-strike battle damage assessment revealed several terrorists were neutralized and their hideouts set ablaze, thereby degrading their capabilities to attack surface forces. The death toll from a stampede at the venue of a zakat alms-giving event in Benue State on Sunday has increased to 7, with 3 additional women reported dead. The stampede occurred at Shafa Holdings Company PLC headquarters along Jos Road during the distribution of arms by a Bauchi-based philanthropist. The distribution was said to have begun smoothly, with beneficiaries, mostly women, called in groups to receive their items until restlessness among others led to a struggle to gain access to the venue. Now, the spokesperson of the State Police Command in Bauchi State, Ahmed Wakili, in an interview with journalists on Monday, disclosed that 2 more women died at the Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital in Bauchi, while adding that the 3rd woman had died at home. He gave the names. He also said that the rest include others who have also been identified by the police statement. Now, Governor Hyacinth earlier at the weekend directed the suspension of all mining activities pending a verification exercise to collect all mining data in Benue State. Governor Alia gave the order while inaugurating 60 mining marshals drawn from the personnel of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps at the Government House in Makurdi that is aimed at curbing illegal mining of solid minerals across Benue State. The governor, who was represented by his deputy, Barrister Sam Ode, says he would not tolerate any illegality in Benue State, stressing that there is a need for the civil defense personnel not to relent in combating illegal mining. He also says the personnel are expected to collaborate with members of the Mineral Resources and Environment Management Committee to defend the interests of the people of Benue State. Now, life is set to change for the better in Danya village, a Kano community in Kano State that has suffered acute water shortages for over 40 years. Now, this follows the drilling of a borehole in the village located some 23 kilometers away from Bichi town of Kano State. Ahmed Dati tells us more in this report as presented from our studio.
Though the village has electricity and access road, it has been without water for years. Residents of Danya trek a distance of 2 or 3 kilometers to fetch water at a stream. Sometimes they face competition from animals who want to drink from the same water source. Few who can afford it buy water from Malikawa village, also few kilometers away. Locals here say this problem of water scarcity has been here for over 40 years. We have been experiencing water scarcity in this village for a very long time. In fact, I grew up knowing this problem and I am 45 years old. We go from here to Malikawa with our motorbikes to buy potable water. This is, however, about to change now as water survey exercise has been completed and drilling of a borehole begins almost immediately. We have observed how women and children suffer a lot from getting water here. This exposes them to many dangers over the years. The Kano State Governor has instructed that we put an end to their problem, so we believe that this is the best time for our intervention. The next village after Danya is Kialimbula. Although facing the same problem, water scarcity here is not as aggravated like it is in Danya. A borehole will be drilled to bring succor to residents who for so long have paid for water through their noses.
Now, academic activities across universities in Nigeria, especially in Kano State, have resumed following the suspension of the 7-day warning strike by the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union. The strike action was suspended following a directive from the national body of the associations. According to SANU Secretary at the Bayero University in Kano, the suspension is temporary as the national body is built to meet with the federal government and other stakeholders this week. The week-long strike action in some of the universities in the state affected activities of students who have missed their examinations when the association shut the gate of the Bayero University in Kano. However, it was gathered that the activities had returned to normalcy as all units and departments had reopened for full operations in universities across Kano State. Part of the issues that led to the strike action include the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement, the issue of 25 to 35% of salary increment Minimum wage arrears and the issue of 50 billion naira the government promised as earned allowances. Elsewhere, in an effort to fight against tuberculosis in Oyo State, the people who have persistent cough symptoms have been advised to use diagnosis as well as treatment centers across various local government areas in the state to know their health status. This was part of the message at a press briefing to commemorate this year's World Tuberculosis Day, celebrated globally on the 24th of March by the World Health Organization. Trust TV's Adam Imam has more on the story.
This year's commemoration of World Tuberculosis Day is designed to build public awareness that TB remains an epidemic in most parts of the world, causing death of nearly 1.5 million people each year, mostly in developing countries. Nigeria ranks 6th among the high-burden countries in the world and first in Africa. Against this background, health experts said in 2023, Oyo State detected and notified 9,332 drug-susceptible TB cases as against 7,806 in 2022.
Is we can end tuberculosis, and I believe we can end it. Reason because among all the chronic diseases, tuberculosis is a disease that once you start medication, you can achieve 100% cure. Because unless otherwise, if there's a problem, and those problems are well known to all of us, the faulty drug, and probably having some infection with drug-resistant strain of Mycobacterium tuberculosis.
On the issue of distance of the facility for tuberculosis patients to access, the health expert says they have already put measures in place to address that.
Of drugs, because we have adequate supply of drugs. We don't have issue of diagnosis because we have fairly widespread diagnostic centers. What our main challenge is for people that are coughing for 2 weeks or more. Anybody that is coughing for 2 weeks or more is presumed to have tuberculosis, and therefore he should go to the nearest center where this diagnosis can be made free of charge. And if he is found to have TB, the treatment is for 6 months and the drugs is free of charge. So our main challenge in a nutshell is that people are not accessing the services.
The breakthrough action in collaboration with Bakatma, however, enjoined media and relevant stakeholders to create awareness that tuberculosis disease is curable. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
President Tinubu on Monday presided over the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Council Chambers in Abuja. The meeting was attended by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, alongside other members of the Federal Executive Council. Absent were the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, and the Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Gaidam. At the last council meeting held 2 weeks ago, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, disclosed that President Tinubu stands on the safe return of the kidnapped school children in Kaduna, as well as individuals kidnapped in Borno, Kaduna, and Sokoto State, saying that no ransom payments will be paid on any of the victims. The minister also disclosed that the government was reviewing the security support offer made by the United States and other countries, adding that the position of the government will soon be made known on said proposals. Watching the news update on Trust TV, still to come. Despite government promises, consumers decry difficulties in metering project amidst billing challenges. More on this and many other stories up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the program. Let's take another look at the top stories. The Nigerian Army has confirmed utilizing a combination of kinetic and non-kinetic strategies in the rescue of the abducted Kuriga school children. The death toll from the stampede in Oyo State during an arms distribution has risen to 7. Now, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria has urged intending pilgrims that still wish to participate in the 2024 Hajj exercise to add an additional 1.9 million naira to the 4.9 million they've paid the commission already. The commission, in a statement by its spokesperson, Fatima Sanda Usara, says the increase should be paid latest by 28th of March 2024, as it will shut down its systems and no other payments would be accommodated after the deadline. Fatima advised those seeking to withdraw their registration for the 2024 Hajj exercise to formally request a refund from their respective states. She further explains that previously NACON requested an extension which was reluctantly granted by the Saudi authorities. The increase takes the Hajj fare to 6.8 million naira from the 4.9 million that was earlier announced in February. Now, the electricity consumers across Nigeria have decried the difficulties they are experiencing while trying to secure prepaid meters. This is despite the availability of several metering schemes across the country. In this report, Noel Sampson speaks to the former chairman of the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission on some of the challenges currently being faced by the metering scheme projects of the federal government, as well as the preferences of Nigerians on estimated billings.
According to energy market and rate consultants, the metering gap in Nigeria exists due to resistance to change, as many consumers are typically reluctant to adopt the installation of meters due to concerns about capital costs, perceived inconvenience, and apprehensions about transitioning to a new billing methodology. However, even though these customers are not on the other side of the divide as they prefer being metered, they are nevertheless discouraged by the stress of getting the meters.
I prefer the prepaid meter because when you have the prepaid meter, there is no complaint of anything estimated billing. Personally, about myself, I haven't applied for it. But for those who applied earlier, there was no difficulties. But now we don't know what is happening. People will apply and they will not get the prepaid meter.
Prepaid is you pay, you consume what you paid for. A friend of mine have experienced it. The process of, you get to sort somebody, you know somebody that knows somebody, before you can be able to get the prepaid meter. It's not what you apply and get it willingly. You need to sort yourself, before getting it.
I prefer prepaid meter.
Why, sir?
Because prepaid meter is the best. If there is no light, you won't pay. But if there is light, you will pay what you use. It's money. For now, it's money. Like the one I have in my place, I got it without money. Yeah, I got it in Mandala branch. And I fill form and they give it to me. Very easy. But for now, I think it's paid. People are paying for that now.
Prepaid.
Why?
It's more easier to maintain compared to those paying for estimated. Because I found it easier now that I have my own. Well, at first we were told it was free of charge, that government were giving people meter free of charge. But when we went to get it, we got to find out that we have to pay. But as of that time, it was my dad that actually made the payments. It was around 60,000 or thereabouts. And before the meter came, it took up to like 3 to 4 months before we could get a meter in the house. I think it was very healthy, and I know some persons were even fighting in the office.
Corruption is said to be one of the reasons why there are insufficient meters in Nigeria, a situation that makes getting metered difficult. Dr. Sam Amadi is a former chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, speaks on the issue.
And so the first problem is that they don't have the financing to mass procure meter. The second is the incentive to quick ramp up of installation. And thirdly, incentives. Some people think that these discos are making more money from estimated. So why bother to make this investment except the regulator pushes them? So you see this three interplay, and that's why meter availability is poor.
At the time of filing this report, officials of the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company were yet to respond to Trust TV's inquiries. No, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Turning our attention now to developments on the international scene, the United Nations Security Council has passed a resolution demanding a ceasefire in Gaza for the rest of the Ramadan period. The Muslim holy month began on the 11th of March and is set to finish on the 9th of April, meaning the council is calling for a 2-week ceasefire, though the proposal says the pause in fighting should lead to a permanent, sustainable ceasefire. The U.S. abstained from the vote, with the 14 other council members, including Russia, China, and the United Kingdom, voting in favor of the new proposal. The resolution also demanded the immediate, unconditional release of all hostages linked to a timeline and emphasizes the urgent need to expand the flow of humanitarian assistance to the Gaza Strip. After the vote, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cancelled a planned visit to Washington by a delegation as the quote, the U.S. withdrew from its consistent position in the Security Council of the United Nations. Talking sports now, Nigeria Super Eagles interim head coach Finidi George is looking forward to recording a second consecutive victory with the Nigerian Super Eagles. Finidi's reign started on a good note, with the Super Eagles edging rivals Ghana 2-1 over the weekend. The 3-time African champions will be up against the Eagles of Mali in their second friendly international game at the Grand Stade the Marrakesh on Tuesday. The Super Eagles will be without Frank Onyeka and Calvin Bassey for the second international game. The likes of Victor Osimhen, Tayo Awoniyi, Tyrion Ebuyi, and Gabriel Osho couldn't honor the invitation for the 2 friendly games due to fitness concerns. Finidi George, however, says they can't afford to dwell too much on the absence of the top players, as they are determined to get the best result for the team. Well, that's it. The latest news stories at this hour. We'll be back with more news stories a little later. For now, do well to follow us across our social media platforms to keep in touch with all of our contents, and do visit our website trusttv.com for the latest news and documentaries. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time.